I'm really excited. We have Brianna Tam on, and thank you for doing this, first of all.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is something that has been in the works for probably several months, I would say, like from the first time we talked about it. And then you went on a journey.
Yep.
And, so you left town and you've been in Atlanta, right?
Virginia and Atlanta.
Okay, Virginia and Atlanta, yeah. So electric cello player Brianna Tam, and if you haven't heard of her, please go to Spotify, YouTube. But what other platforms are you on? Anything, everything.
Instagram, Bandcamp.
Oh my goodness.
Music.
Wow.
Amazon.
Yeah, she is phenomenal, and it's interesting because we're moving in a direction of like health and wellness right now. We kind of gotten, we're moving out of the creative like artist stuff, but then now we got you on. But we were what I was getting to is I work out to your music all the time, and it's like intense but relaxing on my mind, and I love it. I love it because I feel like I'm going to war. Like as I'm listening to her, and I'm like, I love, like, every track is awesome to me, like on her album. And you have another album that's coming out soon, right?
In spring. Yep.
Yes. And
title can't be shared yet, but
okay.
But Bioluminescence, is that from?
That is the last track on that album.
Okay, it's the last track on the album that's coming.
Yes.
Well, so you released that track first.
I released Aorta and Eris as well earlier this year, and they're also on that album. But Bioluminescence is at the very end, and it's kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm a big believer that we have to know exactly what we want, and we had to stay faithful to that vision from the beginning. So that was actually, Bioluminescence was the first thing that I wrote from that album. And the rest of it kind of wrote itself naturally, along with like the life experiences that went along with that. But yeah, like even when things were hard, I like always stayed faithful to the vision that is represented by Bioluminescence. So I wanted to release it earlier so that people knew what's coming. And the album is very dark, but at least they know, okay, there's going to be some light at the end.
Wow. And what is your vision as an artist?
That's a secret.
Oh yeah.
But it's basically like finding happiness and fulfillment from within.
Oh.
Because you can't, find it from material things. You can't find it from people. I've been in situations where I've gotten everything that I wanted, and I didn't feel like I had anything. So I've learned that, it definitely comes from within you. So I think that's like the bigger message for the piece, besides the like material or actual desires that it's written about.
Wow.
Yeah, happiness is not external.
No.
Yeah.
It's like, I think we spoke about this in one of our last conversations, and you were saying that it's internal.
It comes from you.
Yeah, and actually it's interesting because right before we walked in this room right now, Chris was kind of speaking on some more things similar to that. He was talking about contentment.
Absolutely.
And you were saying not everything is an issue.
Yeah, it's more me finding my peace and not taking issue with every little thing in life. And so I'm trying to practice that more, right? And not letting the small things sort of irk me the way they used to. And so, yeah, finding that contentment is, it takes time. It takes practice. But once you get to a certain point, you can live in that peace, and you're just, you find your days are easier, and you're not as, I guess, neurotic about all the small things. And I think it's a better way to live, to be honest.
Everything you need is already inside of you, I think that kind of touches with that, like connects that a little bit,
Right.
But also, when you were speaking about Aorta when we first opened up the show, like that is my favorite track.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, like I love that track. Actually, would we be able to play a little bit of Brianna Tam in the background? Is that okay, or is that weird?
It's up to her.
Yeah. Just a little intensity in the background. I mean, I might start doing some push-ups though.
Do it. I went on a date once and I walked in, the guy had Intrepid playing.
Oh, wow.
He's like, "Do you recognize this?" I'm like, "I mean, duh."
Yeah, a little bit.
It wasn't a second date, but
Yeah.
but it was flattering.
Wow.
I
And
was-
you've been playing for how long?
I've been playing cello since I was 8. I'm 25 now, so
That's like 17.
So this
17
is
years.
this is bioluminescent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. And what made you decide on the it's electric cello?
Well, I started on cello when I was 8, and then I switched to electric when I was 21, 22.
Okay.
I don't know if it was a switch or it's more like I still play classical.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, when I was in like middle school and high school, I realized that the classical thing, like I love the music,
Mm-hmm.
but the culture wasn't for me.
Mm.
And I kind of pushed it away for many years, but like instead of practicing my classical repertoire, I would like play like Metallica or like Muse or like, just like things that I wanted to play, and I would make like arrangements, and I did some composition and stuff just for fun. But I thought like you can't make a living out of this. This is just a hobby, like the arranging and playing the music that I want to play. And then when I was 21, I actually got the electric cello as a gift. And
From who? Was it your mom? Or?
I'm an ex.
Oh, an ex.
yes. But
Awesome.
Wow.
so,
Awesome.
But
he did good. He did
They're
good.
pretty
Yeah, he did.
expensive, aren't they?
They are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that the one you still use?
The funny story. So he got me the electric cello, and then if he's watching this, he's gonna hate me. But when we broke up, he wanted it back because he was mad at me, and
Ooh.
he was like, "Well, you can, stay with me and keep the cello," or something messed up like that.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, "No, you can keep it." He's like, "No, but I don't want the cello back." I'm like, "No, keep the cello." So I gave him the cello. Went to the electric violin shop in Durham, North Carolina the next day and bought the same exact one. So if you watch my very first videos and you watch my videos now, like it's actually a different cello, but they look exactly the same.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The story behind the electric cello
Yes.
that
But
Brianna first got.
I am grateful that he got it for me because
Yeah.
it helped me embark on this journey. And the thing is, people ask all the time, like, what's the difference? I mean, they're both cellos. I think it might sound shallow, but it is the aesthetic in a way, because like I play standing. When I play electric, it looks different, it catches people's attention, and that puts me in a certain like creative mindset, and it also makes me feel like I'm in charge of the situation, which is like when you're composing, if you're improvising, you do have to be in control of your mind and your situation, whatever's going on. And so I definitely feel like more in power, more in control, and then I can improvise and compose on the spot. So it's kind of like a aesthetic thing, but it does put me in a certain zone.
Yeah.
And what about when you compose? Do you sit down and write the notes, or do you just start playing the chords?
It
Like, how do
depends.
you- or do you?
It's random. So bioluminescence was a long story, but I've had pieces like Waiting, which is a pretty popular one. I was just playing that on the loop pedal, and I'm kicking myself because I had a video of the full thing. I don't have it anymore, but it's literally the same exact notes and everything as the final Waiting that's on Spotify. And I kind of it just came to me. I don't know.
You just played it.
Yeah, it just came to me.
And what about, do you ever, because I always wonder, I'm always fascinated by musicians.
Yeah.
Do you hear the melody in your head and then you play it, or like what's the like how does it come to you, the process of creating?
Sometimes it depends. I mean, so for bioluminescence, I was actually driving around in Tampa somewhere last year, and the main melody just came to me. And I kind of like sung it in the car, and then I just made like a voice memo of it. But sometimes I'm playing and it comes to me that way. Like I don't hear it at first, but it just comes out. So I don't know. It's kind of random, but I like at this point I trust that I'm gonna get the right idea and it's gonna come to me. So I'm not like worried about it. If that makes sense.
So it comes to you like in pieces. And,
Yeah. Or sometimes it comes in one big.
Oh, okay. It just depends, right?
Yeah. Like
Okay.
Waiting came all at once. Aorta came in pieces. Bioluminescence came in pieces. There are some others that came like all in one sitting. So.
And when you're just playing, do you go back and write down the notes like on a? No, you'd never do that.
Sometimes.
like on a scale.
Occasionally.
Okay, so
Like-
that someone could recognize if it's A or E, or you don't.
Well, they could listen and probably figure it out. But
Okay.
so for bioluminescence, that one took me 3 years to like get from point A to point B. So that one I did like write down at some point just to kind of like have my thoughts organized. But most of the time I do not write it down.
Okay.
And so like from coming from a classical background, I did like a lot of chamber music, and chamber music is basically like a band but classical. So you have like a 4-piece, 5-piece, whatever. And you have to like in a band, you have to really pay attention to each other and like really be aware of what other people are doing and what they're playing, so that you're playing in time and like in the right style that they are. And I had this thing where like I would just kind of memorize everybody's parts.
Wow.
Which wasn't, I mean, it's, you sort of want to do that anyway, so you know what to expect. But like I literally knew exactly what was going on all the time. And I'm like, that's such a useless skill unless if I'm like
In a
doing
band.
this or composing or conducting. And but now like I do the loop pedal, which is basically I play something, record it, play something else, keep recording and building layers, and then adding and taking them away. And it's proven to be useful there because I have to keep track of all the many layers that are going on.
You're like your own band
Yeah.
when you have that loop pedal.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
That is really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's how I saw her too. Was at what is that
Is that
place?
a
Bula.
kava? Yeah.
Bula over on Florida Avenue. Yeah, that's a kava bar.
Ah.
Yeah, it was an open mic. I was actually following Chris Cherry because I had
Okay,
met
yeah,
Chris
yeah.
Cherry at Poets Cafe in New Tampa, and then he told me that he hosted this open mic
Yeah.
at Bula like every other Friday or something like that. Speaking of Chris Cherry, like I can't wait to. Yeah, I think he
He's
went
in
to
Australia,
Australia.
yeah.
He came back though right now for a little
Oh.
bit. Yeah.
No kidding. Okay.
I don't know if he's going back or what, but I would love to talk to him too.
Mhm.
He's an amazing musician as well,
Yes,
with
he
a
is.
very unique, different style.
Yes.
What does he
Um,
play?
Guitar, but
and
he sings.
Yeah.
But he has like a very high pitched like voice,
Okay.
and
A lot of soul.
yeah, soulful, high pitched. Yeah, I'll have to let you hear some of his stuff. He's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But just that little open mic had so much talent come through there, and you were one of them.
That was
And-
the first, and was it the only time I played there? I don't know, but I had just moved to Tampa last year, and that was literally like the day that I moved here.
Oh my goodness! And you played the same day?
Yeah, I
I
wanted
did
to
not
meet
know that.
people. I wanted to,
Oh,
see what
wow.
it
I
was
did
all
not know that
about.
was your first day
Yeah.
in Tampa.
And
That
where
is
did
so
you move
cool.
from?
North Carolina,
Oh, okay.
Wow.
You grew up in North Carolina?
New York, or Connecticut.
Oh,
Connecticut,
East
New York.
Coast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I end up seeing her like with Chris. Actually, we went out. We went to Ybor, and I had invited him out. I'm like, man, you got to come check Brianna Tam out.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes out, and you were playing with K3, who we just had
met him.
on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just had on. We haven't released that episode yet, but and they together. Oh my goodness, they were awesome.
Yeah,
They
it was
were
a great
awesome.
show.
Yeah, you guys just, man, I highly recommend y'all creating something together. I know it's gonna happen.
I asked him.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
With his flow, with the electric, with her.
Classical hip hop.
Oh, it's just phenomenal and live. Like, and that's the thing about both of you guys is it's live. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's even better
Mm-hmm.
live. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you can feel it. You can feel the energy. And his style really matches well
Mm-hmm.
with what she does,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a good
It was
flow,
very authentic.
very authentic. And you spoke about that. You were saying that you and him had a like really great conversation one night for like 3
Yeah.
hours, right?
I don't know how long it was, but
Yeah. You
I
got
was like
this.
driving him home, and we just ended up talking for a long time, and I was like, wow, this guy's very like down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
And
For a rapper, you were saying.
oh my
too.
gosh, yeah, I've
Mm.
met so many rappers, worked with so many rappers, and I don't want to throw any shade, but there's a lot of ego in that community sometimes, but he's not that at all. He's super humble and down to earth. So.
Mm-hmm.
You got that too, right? When we spent
Yeah.
some time with him.
Yeah, very humble and very
humble.
wise for being so young.
Yes.
I was so impressed by his wisdom and yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing I was telling Brianna is I'm very impressed with her too, is her
Yeah.
wisdom as well.
Mhm.
And you were telling me something as you were saying, like when you were in school, it was hard for you to get along with the others because you were kind of I guess not entertaining the things that they were entertaining at a young age.
Yeah, I mean,
So, you know,
I think I told you, but when I was 3 years old, and I remember I was trying to go to sleep one night, and then I just like kind of woke up and I started crying, and I don't know why I was crying, and I like ran to my mom and I was crying, and she's like, "What's the matter?" And I felt like I had just suddenly become conscious, like I just kind of woke up or realized that I was aware, and it was a very like jarring experience. And I couldn't explain to her, you know, I didn't have the vocabulary. I was just crying. She's like, "I don't know how to help you." I'm like, "I don't know either."
wow.
And then, yeah, I just felt like in school, like, you know, they're entertained by kind of petty drama, whatever people are consumed with from like ages 5 to 17. I didn't really understand it. And I try to understand it just to kind of like fit in and socialize, but like at the core, like I still don't really understand it.
Yeah, and you don't need to.
No, like I can
you're on a whole
rationalize
different
it, but
path, right?
yeah.
So then you probably didn't have many friends, I'd imagine.
Well, I had friend
Socially.
groups, but like, I was telling David that like, you know, there was a lot of insecurity in a lot of those friend groups, and they would do things that. Am I allowed to talk about it?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
please.
okay.
Yeah.
There was a big self-harm culture in my middle school,
Oh wow.
and that was a trend. And
In Connecticut?
yes,
Okay.
and I did not like it. Did not resonate with me. But if you weren't part of the self-harm community, then you weren't in a community. So I was kind of like, I mean, I'm not gonna hurt myself in order to be your friend, but like, what am I supposed to do? Just not talk to anybody, you know? And so I had one friend where I cared a lot about her, and so I tried to help her, talk her through it, and I ended up, she bought a really, really cheap piano, and I taught her like some basic songs that she liked, and it actually helped her a lot, you know, not indulge in those kind of habits. And then she actually texted me a few months ago and said, "Hey, like, you know, sometimes I still play those songs just like when I'm feeling down." I'm like, "Oh, that means a lot." So, you know, I did what I could, but yeah, I didn't really understand a lot of the drama and like, especially that sort of thing. Like, that's just not me, and I don't believe in that. So, and then, of course, I sympathize with people who genuinely are working through that, but it just seemed like people were doing it just to fit in.
So you're a natural teacher. Maybe
I don't know.
Obviously,
Just doing it feels right. Yeah.
And but so with that though, I'm thinking like something that connects immediately to me is like you have a big heart. Is that where aorta came from?
Ooh. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah. No, aorta was I'll talk about that another time.
Okay, I got you. No worries. No
What
worries.
does
Next year,
aorta
next year.
mean? What does that mean?
It's like I think it's the blood vessel that carries
It's the main artery.
the main
to
artery
the heart.
to the heart.
Oh,
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
You need it to survive.
Got it. Okay.
Dr. Rob would have appreciated that.
Yeah.
We were just talking about all
I
kinds of
saw
medical.
your title and I was like, oh, I don't know what that word is. Like, yeah, thank you.
That's good to
Thank
know.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good though. But like every song on this album is so good. Like, I mean, honestly, and they all hit like differently. Is there any song on this album that, you know, has like the title or the song actually just has like some meaning, like a story behind it that you would want to like share with us? That's something that maybe on a deeper level that helped you produce any of the songs on there?
Well, I think. Are you playing Growth right now? What are you playing?
No, this is
That's
aorta.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't really hear it. But so Growth. That's the very first track on
Which
Growth.
is a phenomenal
Thank you.
track.
And so I was, you know, basically from the ages of, I don't know, 14 or 15 to last year, I'd been in like back-to-back long-term monogamous relationships. And purely because I was insecure and I wanted some stability, and I like wanted like a person who's like, I can turn to that person. And it kind of bit me in the butt, you know, especially when I was like 19. I started dating this guy, and like, I wasn't totally feeling it, but I convinced myself that it was. And then we got engaged, when I was
Wow.
19 years old.
Ooh.
Yeah. And like in the back of my head, I'm like, this is so wrong. But I, just went with it. And like, I wasn't in a place where I could really be honest with myself yet. And towards the end of that relationship, when things were obviously like falling apart, as they naturally were going to anyway, because, it wasn't what I genuinely wanted. Growth. I ended up going to like a cabin in like the woods by a lake by myself for like a week. No Wi-Fi, no nothing. So I'm like, I just need to sort this out. We'd been dating for like 3-4 years. Like I'm still engaged. I haven't married you. So obviously like I need to think about some things. And so I went there. No one to talk to, like no social media, no nothing. And I just had the loop pedal and the electric cello, and this came out.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Like pretty much exactly the way you're hearing it now. I mean, obviously now it's produced and whatever, but yeah. And I wrote it down and I forgot about it. Then I went home and I decided like, yeah, I probably should move on. And the thing that was difficult was that with this relationship, his family accepted me, his friends accepted me. We had a house. Oh my goodness. I love gardening. I love chickens, like backyard chickens. So we had backyard chickens. We had a cat. We had like all these really awesome things. And like I could do whatever I wanted. I had whatever I wanted. I didn't have to pay for it. I didn't have to do anything. But I was like, something's not right. Like I can't just be complacent. And so I made the decision. I basically broke up with him. But then I kind of backstepped because I was like still not sure about my decision. And so it dragged on for a little bit. But then there was one day where like he was trying to convince me to stay. And he said something that really pissed me off.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, no, just leave the house. Let me think like for just an hour. Like I just need to be alone. And I sat down with my microphone and then recorded Growth. So Growth was about, on a material level, it was about ending that relationship and leaving everything, the family, the friends, the community, the home, and going into the unknown. So that's like the material meaning of it. But it's on a universal level, it's about addressing the thing that you know to be true or that you know is wrong or right or whatever, and like facing it head on and making the decision to change and to be uncomfortable. Because if you're comfortable, that's nice, but then what's the point? And I was telling,
What didn't you like? Like, why didn't you feel peace in that relationship? Like, can you pinpoint what was wrong? Or
I think we just outgrew each other. That was it. And even now I'm realizing like I talk about a lot of these philosophical things. Like I don't know if that was really his sort of thing, which is fine. Like I respect him for that, but we just kind of grew apart. I was growing and I started doing the electric cello. I started composing. I was traveling more and whatever, and I just realized there was more out there, and I had like a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And being comfortable is not the end goal. It's about. I was telling David yesterday, like the universal story they tell in every movie, every book, everything is the hero's journey. And that's like, the young protagonist who's like immature or innocent or whatever, and they go through all these difficult journeys and they come out, a hero, and they come out stronger and better. And like, that's the reason why it's recycled all the time, is because it's so universal and every single person can relate to that. So that's what Growth is about on a younger level. And then the next album's the same sort of hero's journey, but like on a much deeper and like personal level than Growth. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is huge. Like thank you, man. That's a big story. That's awesome.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. You can catch all of our episodes on YouTube and Spotify at Better Gents Podcast, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Better Gents Pod. Thank you and take care.